Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that every challenge, every person, and every event in your life is secretly obeying the silent commands of your inner world. What if the power to change everything around you lies not in effort, not in struggle, but in mastering yourself within? This is the hidden key to effortless transformation, the secret that turns reality into your obedient servant once you awaken to who you truly are. Look around you. Everything you see, every person, circumstance, and event is not happening to you, but coming from you. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting your inner conversations, beliefs, and assumptions. You can change the reflection only by transforming the image you hold within. Most people attempt to rearrange the mirror. They fight circumstances, resist appearances, and struggle to alter conditions, never realizing that the true cause lies in consciousness. The world outside is a shadow cast by the light of your imagination. Whatever you assume yourself to be in consciousness will inevitably take shape in the world of form. You may ask, how can I change what I see? Begin where all change begins, within the imagination. Close your eyes and dare to feel yourself already the person you wish to be. Persist in that assumption until it feels natural, until it takes root as truth. Then watch as your world, without effort, rearranges itself to mirror your new inner state. The law is simple but unyielding, as within, so without. If confusion surrounds you, bring order to your mind. If lack appears, assume abundance within. If loneliness greets you, imagine love as your constant companion. Life is a faithful servant. It will reflect your every belief until you awaken to your creative power. Tonight, dare to live from the end. Dare to believe that your inner world is the only reality. For when you master your inner state, the outer world cannot help but bend to your vision. The reflection must change, because you have changed. The outer world mirrors the inner state because consciousness is the one and only reality. Everything that appears in your life, every condition, every relationship, every event, is but a reflection of your dominant state of mind. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. Circumstances are at the mercy of you. The world faithfully echoes the contents of your imagination. When you live in fear, the world becomes a stage of threats. When you dwell in love, life unfolds with harmony. The mirror never lies, but it never judges either. It simply reflects. Every man moves through life enclosed within his own state of consciousness. He sees only what he is attuned to see. Two people can stand side by side and witness entirely different worlds because each is filtering life through his own inner assumptions. The outer is a projection of the inner film running within you. You cannot escape your state. It follows you wherever you go. To attempt to change the outer world without altering the inner is like trying to change your reflection without changing your face. The secret lies in realizing that the invisible world within you is the cause of everything visible. Your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions form the blueprint of your experiences. The world of form bends itself to your inner conviction. When you accept this law and live by it, you reclaim your power. You no longer plead with the outer world to change. You transform yourself in consciousness and watch reality rearrange itself to match the new pattern. If you wish to experience peace, you must first assume peace within, regardless of appearances. If you wish for abundance, you must feel rich before the evidence appears. If you desire love, you must imagine yourself already loved. The feeling precedes the fact. The inner movement births the outer manifestation. The moment you claim something within, life conspires to make it so. The outer world does not originate anything. It only reveals what has been accepted within consciousness as true. Every reaction you have to the outer world is a revelation of your state. When someone offends you, it is not they who create the offense, but the concept you hold of yourself being offended. When you envy another, it is not their success you resent, but your belief in your own inadequacy. To change these reflections, you must rise in consciousness. Assume a new concept of yourself, one worthy, loved, and complete, and persist in it until the world bears witness to your transformation. You are the dreamer dreaming the world into existence. The dream cannot change until the dreamer awakens to his creative power. When you know that the outer is nothing more than the reflection of the inner, you cease to fight shadows. You go directly to the source. to the imagination, where all things begin. From this awareness, life becomes pliable, obedient, and reflective of the truth you dare to assume. Within yourself, circumstances reflect inner assumptions, because the world is not independent of the consciousness that observes it. Every event, every encounter, every twist of fate is molded by what you assume to be true about yourself and life. You may call them coincidences or luck, but they are nothing more than the outpicturing of your inner convictions. The moment you assume something about yourself or your world, you set in motion unseen forces that shape your external experience to match your belief. Life does not question your assumptions, it simply reflects them faithfully. If you assume you are limited, life will mirror limitation at every turn. If you assume yourself to be favored, doors will open effortlessly. The law is impartial. It yields according to the seed you plant in consciousness. Many live unaware of their creative power, believing they are victims of chance, unaware that every circumstance is an echo of their own inner state. To change the echo, you must change the voice that speaks within. When Neville Goddard spoke of assumption, he meant more than mere thought. Assumption is a feeling of reality, a conviction so deep that it becomes the foundation of your being. What you assume, you inevitably express. It becomes the filter through which all of life is seen and experienced. When you persist in a new assumption long enough, even in the face of contradiction, the outer world must conform, for consciousness is the only cause. Circumstances are not punishments nor rewards. They are mirrors. They reveal to you what you have accepted as true in the secret chambers of your mind. Every unwanted condition is an opportunity to recognize and revise the false assumption that sustains it. If you find yourself surrounded by lack, examine where you have assumed scarcity within. If you encounter rejection, consider where you have accepted unworthiness as your truth. The outer scene is but the shadow of these inner acceptances. The transformation begins when you deliberately assume a higher state. You imagine yourself successful, loved, and fulfilled, not as a distant dream, but as a present reality. You occupy this feeling until it becomes natural, and soon, circumstances rearrange themselves to validate your new inner conviction. This is not magic, it is law. The unseen world of thought and belief crystallizes into the seen world of form. When you truly grasp this principle, you cease to blame, complain, or resist life. You look inward for the cause, and there you find your freedom. For if your assumptions created the old, new assumptions can create the new. The outer world bends obediently to the image you hold within, reflecting back to you your own inner state dressed in the garments of circumstance. True change begins in imagination, because imagination is the workshop of reality, the birthplace of every transformation that has ever occurred. Nothing in the outer world can shift permanently unless it first changes within the invisible realm of the mind. Every invention, every breakthrough, every great life story began as an image, a vision, or a feeling imagined by someone who dared to believe in the unseen. The imagination is not a place of idle fantasy. It is the creative power of God within man, the means by which the formless becomes form. To imagine is to create. The outer world is nothing more than imagination made visible. When you imagine yourself to be something and persist in that feeling, the world eventually conforms to that assumption. It is not effort or struggle that changes life. It is inner vision sustained with faith. Neville Goddard often said, "Imagination creates reality, because it is the inner act of assuming the wish fulfilled that sets the tone for everything that follows." When you feel yourself already to be the person you wish to become, you summon circumstances, people, and opportunities that match your inner picture. Most people look to the outside for change. They wait for luck, chance, or external assistance to improve their condition, never realizing that the cause is within. The imagination, once disciplined and directed, becomes the greatest servant. To imagine is to plant a seed, to persist is to water it, and to believe is to let it bloom into manifestation. Every condition of your life today is the harvest of thoughts and assumptions you once entertained in imagination. To change anything, you must first picture it differently. You must withdraw attention from what appears to be and turn your focus inward to what you desire to be. The imagination is a creative act of faith. You close your eyes and live from the end, You see yourself already possessing what you long for, already being who you choose to be. This inner state, once felt and accepted, becomes the cause of the outer change. You cannot rise higher than the image you hold of yourself. If you continually imagine failure, failure must express. If you imagine abundance and peace, life rearranges itself to deliver the reflection of that inner picture. Imagination is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between desire and fulfillment. The world is a mirror, and imagination is the hand that moves the mirror's image. The moment you dare to imagine differently, you have already set change in motion. The seen world may take time to catch up, but the unseen has already shifted. Hold faithfully to the vision of your desire fulfilled, and it must externalize itself with mathematical certainty. For the law is absolute. Whatever is imagined with feeling and persistence becomes fact. Consciousness is the only reality because everything that exists, everything you experience, believe, or perceive, arises from awareness itself. There is no world apart from the perceiver of it. What you call reality is but the projection of what you are conscious of being. The outer world is a moving shadow of your inner state, a living picture of your thoughts, assumptions, and emotions. Nothing happens outside of you that does not first happen within you, for consciousness is both the cause and the substance of all creation. From the moment you awaken in the morning until you fall asleep, you are immersed in consciousness. Every idea you hold, every feeling you nurture, impresses itself upon this invisible field and expresses itself as experience. You may think you are reacting to the world, but in truth, the world is reacting to you. It reflects back to you the quality of your consciousness. When you feel joy, life seems to sing in harmony. When you feel fear or doubt, the world appears threatening. The conditions you face are not independent events, they are echoes of your own awareness. To understand that consciousness is the only reality is to awaken from the illusion of separation. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and realize that you are the cause of everything that unfolds. The people who enter your life, the opportunities that arise, even the challenges you meet, are all shaped by what you assume to be true about yourself and your world. If you accept this principle, you possess the key to freedom, for you hold within you the power to alter any condition by changing your inner state. Neville Goddard taught that man's consciousness of being is the power that creates. The words, "I am," are the name of God in action. Whatever follows, "I am," in your inner conversations becomes the blueprint of your reality. Say to yourself, "I am free," and hold it as true, and life will respond accordingly. Say, "I am limited," and limitation must appear. Consciousness does not discriminate. It creates according to your assumption, whether noble or unworthy. Everything you see is consciousness made visible. The chair you sit upon, the home you live in, the work you do, all were first ideas that took form through awareness. Even now, as you read these words, the consciousness interpreting them gives them meaning and life. The outer world has no power to act apart from the awareness perceiving it. When you shift your state of consciousness, the world inevitably changes to mirror that shift. To alter the outer, you must first alter the inner. Consciousness is infinite, eternal, and unbound, forever shaping itself into the forms you behold. To know this truth is to step into mastery, for nothing can exist for you that your consciousness does not first allow, persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For it is through persistence that the invisible becomes visible. The law of consciousness requires steadfastness, not fleeting imagination. To persist means to dwell in the state of your desire, as if it were already accomplished, to make it so real within that the outer world cannot help but conform. Most people imagine briefly, then return to doubt, undoing their own creative act. But the one who holds the inner vision, who refuses to waver despite appearances, becomes the master of manifestation. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are planting the seed of your desire within the fertile soil of consciousness. Like any seed, it takes time to grow, and during that unseen gestation, persistence is the water that sustains it. You may not see results immediately, but if you remain faithful to your inner reality, the outer must eventually mirror it. Every emotion, every thought, Every inner dialogue shapes the field of consciousness, and persistence ensures that the image held within becomes the dominant one impressed upon reality. Persistence is not struggle. It is not force or effort in the outer world. It is a quiet inner knowing, a refusal to accept the evidence of the senses as final. When you persist, you dwell mentally in the end state, feeling it as already true. You walk, talk, and think from that state, not toward it. You do not wait for proof, for your conviction is proof enough. The unseen acts as the cause, the seen merely follows. Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the secret, and persistence is its keeper. The feeling of the wish fulfilled must be maintained with consistency, like a flame that is never allowed to die. Every time doubt arises, you return to your inner assumption. Every time the outer world contradicts your vision, you remind yourself that it is but an old reflection, soon to fade as your new state takes hold. The persistence of feeling transforms imagination from mere fantasy into creative power. To persist means to live inwardly as though the desire were already accomplished. If you desire health, feel the joy and freedom of being whole. If you desire success, feel the satisfaction of achievement. If you desire love, feel the warmth of being adored. Hold these feelings as real until they become natural. The moment they feel natural, they are on the verge of objectifying themselves. The outer world bends to the persistence of inner conviction. What you hold inwardly with feeling and faith must appear outwardly with form and substance. Do not be discouraged by delay, for delay is not denial, it is gestation. The moment you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, creation is set in motion, and nothing in this world can stop the law from bringing into being that which you have inwardly accepted as true. The mirror changes only when the image within changes, because the outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner state of consciousness. Just as a physical mirror cannot reflect a different image until you alter what stands before it, life cannot display new circumstances until you change the conception you hold of yourself within. Many attempt to manipulate the reflection, trying to fix conditions, control people, or rearrange outer events, never realizing that they are working with effects, not causes. The true power lies in the unseen realm of the mind, for all that appears outwardly is born from the invisible picture you carry within. You live in a world of mirrors. Every experience, every relationship, every situation is a reflection of what you are assuming, believing, and feeling at the deepest level. The mirror does not create, it simply reflects. If you do not like what you see, you must not blame the reflection but change the image that produces it. When you alter your inner dialogue, when you choose new thoughts and feelings about yourself, the mirror of life obediently adjusts to reveal the change. It has no will of its own. It must follow the pattern impressed upon it by consciousness. Neville Goddard taught that imagining creates reality, and that all transformation begins within. To imagine yourself differently is to project a new image before the mirror of life. At first, the old reflection may linger because of past assumptions still echoing through experience. But persistence in your new inner image will inevitably erase the old and replace it with the new. The mirror is patient, faithful, and exact. It cannot betray the image you hold. If you see limitation, it is because you imagine yourself limited. If you see lack, it is because you have assumed scarcity within. If you see conflict, it is because you are divided in consciousness. But the moment you claim a new concept of yourself, prosperous, loved, and free, the mirror begins to transform. The outer circumstances will subtly rearrange themselves to confirm your new self-concept. The faces, events, and outcomes that once mirrored fear and doubt will start reflecting confidence and harmony. For the law decrees that as within, so without. This truth frees you from helplessness. You no longer struggle to polish the mirror or plead for a better reflection. You go directly to the source, the image within, and there you make the adjustment. You choose to see yourself as already possessing what you desire, and you sustain that inner vision until it feels natural. The mirror cannot resist the change. When the image within is transformed, the reflection must follow, for the world has no life apart from your consciousness. It merely echoes the nature of your inner belief and reproduces, with perfect fidelity, the state you have accepted as your own as within, so without. The law of reflection reveals that the outer world is nothing more than a mirror of the inner world. Every circumstance, relationship, and event you encounter is shaped by the consciousness you sustain within yourself. You are not meeting the world as it is, you are meeting the world as you are. Life reflects your beliefs, emotions, and assumptions with unwavering accuracy, revealing to you the contents of your own inner state. This principle operates with mathematical precision, for consciousness is the cause and the outer world its visible effect. The mind is a mirror that projects its contents outward into the world of form. What you see, you first imagine. What you experience, you first assume. If chaos surrounds you, there is confusion within. If beauty greets you, there is harmony within. The world does not act independently of your awareness. It responds faithfully to it. Every outer experience serves as a teacher, showing you what you have accepted as true in the depths of your being. To alter the outer, you must begin by altering the inner. For the mirror cannot reflect a new image until the one before it has changed. This law frees you from the illusion of external control. You no longer need to fight, resist, or manipulate the conditions around you. Instead, you turn inward, recognizing that what you hold in imagination with feeling will eventually manifest in experience. As within, so without means that your inner state is the seed from which all outer conditions grow. Plant thoughts of love, gratitude, and abundance, and life will yield experiences that echo those qualities. Plant thoughts of fear, doubt, and lack, and life will mirror them with equal fidelity. Neville Goddard often reminded his listeners that the outer world is dead until animated by consciousness. Nothing has meaning or movement apart from what you give it in awareness. When you accept this truth, you cease to blame others or depend upon circumstances. You understand that every condition, no matter how unpleasant, is a mirror image of your state of being. The law is unchangeable and impersonal. It reflects without judgment, returning to you only what you inwardly express. To use this law consciously is to become a deliberate creator. You begin by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, seeing yourself as already the person you desire to be. You persist in that feeling until it becomes natural, until your imagination and belief align. Then, without effort, the outer world reshapes itself to reflect your new consciousness. The faces you meet, the opportunities that appear, the circumstances that unfold, all mirror the shift that has taken place within you. The outer cannot resist the inner, it must obey the law of reflection. For as within, so without, assume the feeling of peace, love, and abundance. For these states are not rewards to be earned, but realities to be accepted within consciousness. Everything you long for already exists in the unseen realm of imagination, waiting for you to claim it through feeling. To assume is to accept as true that which is not yet visible, to dwell mentally in the state desired until it feels natural. The world outside cannot bestow peace or love or abundance upon you. It can only mirror the condition you have accepted within. When you assume these feelings inwardly, you begin to generate the very experiences that correspond to them. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of inner harmony. To assume the feeling of peace is to withdraw your attention from fear and rest in the quiet knowing that all is well. When you choose peace within, you disarm the power of the outer world to disturb you. You realize that circumstances have no authority over your state of being. You may walk through storms outwardly, but inwardly you remain calm, centered, and still. Life then begins to reflect this calmness through orderly events, gentle interactions, and harmonious outcomes. Love, too, begins within. When you assume the feeling of love, you align yourself with the greatest creative power in existence. Love dissolves resistance and draws to you all that resonates with it. You do not wait for someone to love you. You become the embodiment of love itself. You feel the warmth, the joy, and the connection as though it were already yours. This inner atmosphere magnetizes loving experiences into your life, for the outer world can only mirror the frequency you radiate. When you live from the assumption of being loved, the world cannot help but reflect that truth back to you in countless forms. To assume the feeling of abundance is to reject the illusion of lack. Abundance is not measured by possessions, but by awareness of sufficiency. When you feel rich in consciousness, life begins to reveal its endless supply. You notice opportunities, blessings, and synchronicities that were always present, but hidden from the eyes of scarcity. The feeling of abundance opens you to the flow of giving and receiving. You become generous, expansive, and confident, knowing that creation is infinite and that what you give returns multiplied. Assuming these feelings is not pretending, it is aligning with reality at its highest level. Peace, love, and abundance are your true nature, for they spring from the consciousness of being itself. When you dwell in these feelings with faith and persistence, they crystallize into form. The outer world adjusts to match the vibration you sustain within. To assume is to create, and to feel is to summon into visibility the invisible essence of your desire. What you inwardly accept as true becomes the world you walk through. The world faithfully echoes your dominant beliefs, because consciousness is the only cause and belief is its mold. Every event that unfolds, every relationship you encounter, every opportunity or obstacle that appears in your path is shaped by what you consistently hold to be true within yourself. Beliefs are not mere thoughts you casually entertain. They are convictions accepted as reality, emotionalized and repeated until they become the unseen framework of your life. You live within the limits of your beliefs, and the world outside simply reflects their pattern with unerring precision. Your dominant beliefs form the lens through which you interpret and experience reality. If you believe life is difficult, you will encounter struggle. If you believe life supports you, circumstances will align in your favor. The outer world does not choose sides, it mirrors the vibration of your inner conviction. This law is impersonal and exact, responding to faith and fear alike. Whatever belief you sustain, whether consciously or unconsciously, becomes the tone that colors all your experiences. The world listens not to what you say, but to what you feel to be true. Many attempt to change their conditions without changing their beliefs, but it is like trying to alter the reflection in a mirror without changing the face before it. Until the inner conviction changes, the outer echo remains the same. The world cannot contradict your belief, it must express it. You may affirm abundance while secretly believing in lack, and life will continue to reveal shortage until that inner contradiction is resolved. You may desire love yet believe you are unworthy of it, and the world will faithfully echo that belief through loneliness and rejection. The law never fails, it reflects your most dominant assumption. To transform your world, you must first examine the beliefs you carry within. Notice what continually appears in your life. It is the evidence of what you have accepted as true. Then, consciously choose new beliefs that align with the reality you wish to experience. Assume the feeling of the new belief as though it were already fact. Persist in this assumption until it takes root, and soon your outer world will begin to change. The shift may seem miraculous, but it is only the natural response of consciousness to its new impression. Neville Goddard taught that belief is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. What you inwardly believe, you outwardly live. Life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. The faces, events, and opportunities that populate your days are echoes of your inner state, reflecting back the beliefs that dominate your consciousness. To change the echo, change the belief. For the world can only mirror what you have accepted as true about yourself and about life. Master the inner self, and the outer world transforms effortlessly. For the inner is the cause and the outer its effect. Everything you see, every condition you encounter, every person who crosses your path is drawn to you according to the vibration of your inner state. The world is not separate from you. It is an extension of your consciousness projected outward in form. When you gain mastery over your thoughts, emotions, and assumptions, you take command of the creative process itself. You no longer struggle to change circumstances through force or effort, because you understand that true change begins within. To master the inner self is to observe your mind with awareness, to recognize the patterns of thought and feeling that create your reality. Most people live unconsciously, reacting to life as though it were happening to them, unaware that they are the ones giving it meaning and power. The untrained mind is like a restless sea, tossed by every wave of appearance. But the mastered mind is calm, still, and focused, directing its energy toward what it chooses to experience. When you discipline your imagination, When you govern your inner conversations, you begin to move through life with quiet authority. The outer world responds instantly to the inner command. When you choose peace within, conflict loses its hold. When you cultivate faith, obstacles dissolve before your path. When you embody love, harmony flows naturally into your relationships. Mastery of the inner self does not mean suppressing emotion or denying reality. It means transforming your state of consciousness so completely that discordant conditions can no longer find a place to dwell in your experience. You align with your higher nature, and through that alignment, the outer world becomes orderly, reflecting your inner equilibrium. Neville Goddard taught that man's world is himself pushed out, and therefore mastery begins with self-conquest. To rule the outer, you must first rule the inner. This mastery is achieved through persistence in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. You live inwardly as though your desire were already realized, and you hold that state regardless of appearances. The mind that is steadfast in its inner conviction wields a quiet power that bends reality to its vision without effort or strain. When you master the inner self, fear and doubt lose their influence. You no longer chase results, you attract them through the law of correspondence. The outer world becomes malleable, reshaping itself to reflect your new level of consciousness. Life begins to flow with ease because resistance has vanished. You have learned the greatest secret, that control of the outer world comes not through action alone, but through dominion over your inner state. The moment you master your thoughts and emotions, the universe responds in perfect harmony, and the world around you effortlessly arranges itself to reflect the peace, love, and confidence you have established within.